Welcome to Recap's channel. We will explain today a film called The Art of Self-Defense, released in 2019. The film revolves around a skinny geek named Casey Davies, who works as an accountant. Casey's colleagues don't like him because he's weird, and he always checks their expenses. He lives alone with his dog, Dachshund. One evening, he notices that his dog is running out of food, so he went to the store. On the way, he is approached by two men on a motorcycle. One of them asks him if he has a weapon. A little later, Casey returns home with the food, when the men on the motorcycle with a few other attackers pursue him again. Fearing for his life, Casey tries to escape, but they manage to catch and beat him, until he loses consciousness before robbing him. Casey wakes up in a hospital bed. He goes through his voicemails and learns that no one asked how he was doing, with the exception of Grant, his boss, who tells him to take as much time as he needs. After the traumatic incident, Casey fears for his life. After watching a gangster movie, he feels like he is obliged to buy a gun. He goes to a gun shop and asks for a gun. But he is told that he has to go through the background check and the waiting period before he can get one. On the way back, he stumbles upon a karate dojo and decides to take a look at it. When he enters, he sees Sensei, the master of the dojo. After the lesson, Casey talks to Sensei and asks if he can sign up. Sensei invites him the next day for a free trial to see for himself. When asked why he wants to join a karate class, Casey lies to him and says he wants to stay healthy and fit. Before leaving, Casey also meets Anna, the only female member of the dojo who has brown belt, and gives lessons to children. She is cold in nature, and immediately reprimands him for wearing shoes on the carpet. Casey begins his classes as a white belt at the dojo. He meets Henry, who is friendly with him and also heads for a color promotion. During Casey's first lessons, he learned to hit with his feet. He trains with another student named Kenneth, who knocks Casey down the first time. However, Casey also manages to make a good kick. He significantly improves his performance. By the time the promotion ceremony arrives, Henry confides Casey that he has heard Sensei talking to someone, and thinks he will be promoted to black belt. Before promoting his students, Sensei tells them about the late Grand Master of the dojo, who was killed with a gun. And since then, the Sensei believes that people who use guns are weak. He also reveals to everyone a technique that only the Great Master knew. He could kill a man by simply pushing his index finger into his skull. Impressed by Casey's progress, Sensei promoted him to yellow belt. However, Sensei did not promote Henry. Instead, he gave a black belt to another member of the dojo named Thomas. It is revealed that Sensei trains high-ranking attendants in the special evening class. After his promotion, Casey began to develop more than confidence. But one afternoon, while shopping, Casey gets into trouble with a thug. The man intimidates him and gets the groceries out of his bag. Casey ends up going home crying. This greatly lowers Casey's morale, and he begins to wonder if he is even worthy of a yellow belt. Sensei notices this, and urges him to his office to confide. Casey ends up making it clear that he was beaten by thugs, and that's his reason for joining karate class. He admits that he is terrified of men taller than himself, and that he wants to become what intimidates him. Sensei tells him that he did the right thing by joining the karate class, but there is a mental component to improve. Sensei advises him to listen to motivating music, and to learn German because it is a fierce language. In addition, Sensei tells him that in all aspects of life, what he eats and how he interacts with others, everything should be as masculine as possible. Sensei also invites Casey to attend evening classes. Casey follows his advice and makes several changes in his life. Back at work, Casey begins to use assertive behavior, which makes him look like an arrogant man. When Grant invites Casey to dinner with him and his wife, he hits Grant by the throat, saying that a boss cannot be friends with his employees. He then tells his colleagues about his manly action, and also insults them. Casey is fired, but he continues to follow Sensei's advice, and decides to stop petting his dog to make him stronger. He also begins to go to the evening class and even finds Henry there, although he is not invited. He feels betrayed by Casey, who showed up without telling him. When the class begins, Sensei calls Henry for a demonstration, and deliberately breaks his arm at the elbow. He then chastises Henry for showing up for class without an invitation, before expelling him from the dojo. One night, Sensei calls Casey to tell him that he has spotted one of the bikers who assaulted him. He meets Sensei in a bar where he demands Casey to confront him. Casey follows the man, who is very drunk, in a parking lot, where he seems to be going to his motorcycle. Casey punches the man in the stomach. He falls and hits his head against the sidewalk, causing it to bleed. Sensei comes out and starts filming the incident. Then Casey takes the man's keys and sees that he had an ordinary bike, not a motorcycle. It turns out that Sensei lied to him about the man's identity. Casey returns home horrified, only to find his unconscious dog on the floor. He takes her to the hospital, but the doctor tells Casey that the dog is dead, from a kick in his ribs. But there was blood found on his teeth, which means he bit the one who attacked him. After realizing that Sensei killed his dog, Casey returns to the dojo and deliberately breaks all the rules, including eating, drinking, and wearing shoes on the mat, to annoy Sensei. When Sensei shows up, Casey accuses him of killing his dog, but he denies his involvement. Casey is sure that he has killed his dog and threatens to leave the dojo, but Sensei blackmails him with the footage to force him to stay. Casey goes for another evening class, where Sensei takes Anna, Thomas, and Kenneth for a motorcycle race. Casey rides with Anna, approaching an undercover cop. In the same way that Casey was approached earlier, the cop shoots Anna in the leg. Before things go wrong, Casey uses his techniques to attack the cop, but ends up killing him by banging his head against a fire hydrant. Sensei chastises Anna for not asking the man if he has a gun. Then Sensei tells Casey that he has earned a red mark on his belt for taking a life, and he notes that Anna also has one. Casey takes Anna home and she tells her that at first, when she started in the dojo, she didn't hold back, because they were never going to take her seriously as a woman. The champion at the time assaulted him in the dressing room, and she strangled him to death with her own belt. She thanks Casey for bringing her home, but tells him not to go back to the dojo. Casey still returns to the dojo to dig a little deeper. He discovers that the dojo has an incinerator, and also finds Henry's body hanging by his own belt. There are also tapes including Casey's assault, which confirms that Sensei, Anna, and Thomas are the ones who attacked him, Thomas being the one who knocked him out. It was part of a kind of ploy, which Sensei used to blackmail people like him. Then Sensei throws Henry's body into the incinerator. The next day, Casey approaches Sensei, and tells him bluntly that he is going to kill him. He also calls him by his real name, Leslie, just to provoke him. Especially since he made fun of Casey earlier, for having a feminine-sounding name. He also talks about how Sensei blackmails other former students into paying a membership fee long after they have left. Casey challenges him in a duel to the death. Sensei is convinced that he will win. The two bow, but Casey pulls out a gun and puts a bullet in Sensei's head. During the evening class, Casey takes over, and leaves Sensei's body on the floor for others to see. He tells the students that he killed Sensei with the thumbs-up technique, that the Grandmaster was supposed to be the only one who knew. Before continuing, he tells the students to reach out. He sees bite marks on Thomas's wrist, confirming that it was him who killed his dog. He calls his new German Shepherd, whom he has trained in German. He commands the dog to attack Thomas. Then Casey gives Anna the black belt, and puts her in charge of the dojo. She promises to teach a more compassionate form of combat. This is the end of our story. See you in the next video. Happy day.